Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Now you can see the full screen. Okay. Did that advance it?
Yes, it looks good.
All right, so we're good now. All right, so the attention that I want to bring to is the fact that yes, we are under a state of crisis and our bodies are responding as such. However, there's also the potential for us to be able to be in charge of the body in order for us to be able to cope more effectively with those factors that are outside of our control. So what we've got, what I'm like to think is that we are actually living and not just surviving, but actually moving more towards a thriving aspect of our experiences for right now. So this is where I would like to take us. We're going to go in and talk about stress and COVID, but I'm going to come around, circling around to actually applying it to COVID, because I'm going to start speaking more generally about how our bodies responds to stress. Go in and try to understand the stress response, and this is where I'm going to go in and actually introduce two videos that will do some of the speaking for me, and then bring it really personal for us to understand how our own specific body responds, like nobody else's body, but rather your own reaction to the experiences that your mind is aware of. Because if you're not aware of it, then nothing affects you. But once you're aware, then your body's going to have a response. And then I'm going to point out the transition from functional to dysfunctional. And then I'm going to tell you about the capture source, and mostly giving you a website so that you can go in and actually access that and know how to access our resources should you need to do that. And of course, you know, our services are available to students exclusively, while the employees can go through the EAP and actually have their needs met through that. And then we're going to talk about some of the self-care discussion. And hopefully, like I said, I'm going to give you one skill that you can take with you, that as you make it yours and polish it and use it, it becomes ordinary and almost second nature as you approach the stressors that come to you. So I want to go through some definitions, mostly because it gives us the ground knowledge, and some of these is very repetitive, maybe very repetitive to some of you, and some of it may also be something totally new that you are coming to. So take what you need and integrate it into your body of knowledge. So what is stress? And if I can move it away from anxiety for right now and only look at stress as a response of the body to what the body perceives as a threat. Whether it's real or imagined, it really doesn't matter. If the body perceives it as a threat, the body's going to go into a response that has the potential for sustaining itself and taking care of the safety and the well-being. So this is where once your body, if I can, and again, I'm shifting it to stress, and I'm going to get into and label it into anxiety, but for right now, think in terms of stress and energy. Just energy, not right or wrong, not good or bad, but rather energy that is free floating. So your body perceives a threat, then your body responds to take care of you. So what we have, and I'm not, and there's this particular model that talks about 5 stages that we go through as our bodies respond to the perceived threat. First of all is the alarm stage, which our bodies mobilize, all kinds of brain activities going down that triggers an endocrine response, and then the various glands start releasing substances that actually prepare the body and constrict the blood vessels. The body flows to the trunk and to the brain. The lungs become more effective in getting the oxygen from the air, and now you're thinking sharply. I mean, you're ready. And this response is so quick that you're in a fight or flight reaction when your body is really perceiving the threat, that is just an awareness, a hyper alertness that, boy, you're ready to take on whatever is coming at you, Or if you know that the opponent is a little too strong, then you're ready to hightail it out of there and run. Okay, this is the natural response that the body does. After the body realizes that, okay, this was not a threat at all, it was just whatever situation, then the body starts to fight back and neutralize the response that the initial fight or flight reaction triggered in your body. And then the body goes in to repair itself. And this is the natural and the beauty of something so normal. Now, if the stress doesn't get reduced to the baseline where it started, then we start to think, well, maybe, the body starts to adapt at that higher baseline. And at that point, we're just really, really in this state of hyper alertness and almost a form of the fight or flight with a lower intensity. And then we go, if we stay at that level, then our defenses drop down and we just get exhausted. So we go through all of this, and if we stay at the constant level of stress, and just in regular, generally speaking, if we stay at that constant level, then we're just moving into exhaustion. And at that point, then that's where it becomes pathological. So if you will consider stress or energy, moving away from the term anxiety for right now, if you consider that, it's going to be a continuum to where we start at the low end and then we start moving upward. It's at the upper end, at the like if you think in terms of 0 to 10, at the 0 we're still kind of on the low end, but if we start looking towards 10, at that point we're looking at the heightened state of the response, and at that point that's when it becomes dysfunctional. So so if I can, I'm gonna move to the next slide, because this one really talks openly, or at least clarifies it is that I'm talking about. So if you look on this axis, we're looking just applying what we just talked about to performance. So if we're looking at performance here, and then if we're looking at stress moving in this direction, with a 0 being here, think in terms of energy. If you were just looking at energy, when you have no energy, you have no motivation, you are just bored, no stress, you don't have any deadlines, life is just so easy. You're at this point, and by the way, I didn't come up with the word lame, but it just sums it up for me. So if you think, okay, here we're inactive, bored, not moving, not a whole lot of that stress, and because it can have a motivating effect. Well, as you start to think that there are demands on your life, and if you're looking at performance, let's say that you have your dissertation plan, and there are certain milestones that you're going to hit. Well, then you start to move more towards a healthy tension. You have deadlines, you have meetings with your committee that you want to move towards. Okay, that we're moving in that direction. Now the motivation starts to get focused. If we continue to increase the stress, this is the error that is increasing the stress. We can get to where we're motivated and focused. All of this is healthy. And we can get to the point of peak. And this is really, you're in the zone. You have the nice balance between performance, you're producing because you've got enough stress, enough energy moving about. Now, if the stress continues to go up, if we start to continue to go up, then we get to the point here that the performance is going to start come down, because it's interfering now with your ability to focus, and you're starting to get fatigued, and now we're moving towards the exhaustion. If sometimes we're still trying to adapt to that level of stress, and if we can just push the system to the point where it's just constantly moving and moving into the stress response, and we're literally wearing our body out. So when we get to that point, then we start moving into the exhaustion and into the anxiety. At this point, we got a whole body of literature that actually explains and we understand about anxiety disorders. But see, it's only when it's gotten to that level that we start to move more into the the dysfunctional. And then if we keep that up, we'll go into burnout and the breakdown. This is where we're moving towards the overload area. Questions about that? Can you see that happening? It's at this point that we go into the disorders area. Follow that? It's so simple, but when we take it out of the head and actually bring it to our awareness of it. I started to hear a comment.
Yes, it's very clear. Thank you.
Okay. Hi, Ed. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay. So what I want to do is actually take us. I'm going to stop sharing this. Well, let me back up a little. Here, coming back to this particular slide, we're looking at anxiety disorders characterized by excessive fear and anxiety. Fear really is just an emotional response. It has life-giving benefits. Fear is just the emotional response to a real or a perceived threat. Anxiety is the anticipation of the threat that is coming. So we're already moving outside of the here and now and going into an anxiety response. And then the worry is doing the anxiety over and over and over. We have all done that from time to time. So with that, I want to take us to share a different screen. And for this one, I am going to take us to our TAO program that is available to everybody. So let me share that screen. Okay, am I sharing? What can you see? Can you see the Google?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And I will give you this links, but I will also direct you to the website. Okay, this is what the screen is going to look like when you register, if you register and create your own account, because you can register for this as a self-help. Okay, the one that I'm going to show this morning is Calming Your Worry. And it's just one section that I want to show you that has the cognitive response to what we talked about as the fight or flight earlier. Okay, and this, like I say, this is available to use. It's a little slow, but it's coming. Okay.
After completing the session, you will be able to identify the fight or flight response and recognize physiological indicators of anxiety.
Okay, this is the video that I want to show you.
Our goals this session are to identify the fight or flight response, recognize specific physiological processes associated with anxiety, and reflect upon our own physical responses to anxiety. Our world is full of information, all kinds of objects and events, people, places, and things. As we enter any given environment, we begin to notice our world and our senses pick up the raw data, and we begin to process this inside our brain. Our brains take that data and assign meaning to it. Here's an example. The butterfly you see here makes sense to you because your brain can identify its parts like the wings, antenna, and color. But the cognitive process is much more complicated than just identifying objects. Our emotional reactions to the world are the result of the meanings we assign, rather than just the data we take in. Here's an example. Wow, look at the butterflies, how beautiful. Get me out of here. These bugs are creeping me out. Oh my gosh, look at the designs on that thing. No. That's not beautiful. That's weird. It's gorgeous. It can crawl over you. No, it's gonna fly. How pretty. Notice, the experience is the same, but the interpretations are very different. If we apply this cognitive process to the concept of anxiety, it's not the situation that upsets us. It's our interpretation of the situation that creates our anxiety response. Let's look at another example and think about the process we actually go through when we are responding to our internal and external worlds. Imagine you're waiting for class to start when someone rushes in and the door slams. It startles you and you jump in your seat. You feel on edge. You notice your heart is beating rapidly, and you might not calm down entirely for a few minutes. Even though nothing happened to you, and you're not at risk, you feel afraid and uncomfortable. Before our cognitive response system activates, there is an external event or inner thought. For example, imagine you're trying to fall asleep and you hear a strange sound. Okay, that may seem like an exaggeration, but it shows how this chain reaction process can play out. Let's look at how this chain reaction process plays out. Before our cognitive response system activates, there is an inner thought or an external event that triggers a physiological reaction. Next comes conscious awareness through our thalamus and hypothalamus. The cortex stores the information and moves on to the limbic system that provides emotional interpretation. Finally, the motor center kicks in and generates our behavior in response to the situation. The cognitive response system begins with an inner thought or an external event, like a glass breaking. As you begin to notice how you respond to situations in your daily life, remember, these steps can help you understand the processes you are experiencing. Keep in mind, awareness is the first step in change, and we will begin this process in upcoming modules. But first, let's discuss a common reaction to a perceived threat. If you saw this, would you fight or flee? Real or perceived threats trigger a fight or flight response. This is our response to immediate danger. Retreating or drawing back from a gator poised to attack is likely a strong, well-learned response, even if you've never been around an alligator. While we all experience the fight or flight response, it's different. Now let's look at the physical indicators of anxiety. Tunnel vision, inability to focus, dizziness, dry mouth, muscle tension, tightness in the chest, sweating, need to urinate, diarrhea, difficulty breathing, difficulty swallowing, heart pounding, butterflies in the stomach, trembling.
Okay, that pretty much explained, actually put the fight or flight into just generic terms. I'm gonna have us do, and I'm aware of the time, but so I'm gonna only introduce this next video.
COVID-19, the coronavirus, has disrupted all of our lives in many ways. While we've been through epidemics in the past, including SARS, MRSA, Zika, H1N1, and others, none have had the global daily impact of COVID-19. With people getting very sick, hospitalized, and dying, others losing jobs, schools and universities closing, and whole industries shutting down, it feels catastrophic. It is vital that we all follow CDC directives to socially distance and even isolate, wash our hands, and so forth. This is as much for our safety as for the safety of others. At the same time, we need to take care of our mental well-being. And remember that, as a people, we are resilient and adaptable. We can and we will get through this. It won't last forever. Eventually, we'll return to some semblance of normal. Good coping strategies can't make this all go away, but it can limit our suffering in the meantime. Here are some ideas to help you get through this crisis. Accepting anxiety as a natural response. In the midst of this chaos, anxiety is a major concern for many. In an unprecedented situation, we can't predict what will happen. This leaves us with a great deal of uncertainty, which can trigger anxiety. We are much more comfortable when we can anticipate what's coming and control some of the outcomes. There are many things about which we feel uncertain. We can feel uncertain about just how big of a threat COVID-19 will be. As a result, we are uncertain how to evaluate the threat of the illness itself. We can feel uncertain about how much stress.
Okay, I'm going to stop the video because they gave you the introduction of linking what we've been talking about to the stressor now of COVID. It's unpredictable. There are many unknowns. So that pushes us into a state of hyper alertness that can be wearing us thin. So our responsibility then is go back and actually bring us down to a baseline or as close to baseline as we can possibly can. So I'm going to get out of this share. And actually go back to, and I'm aware of the time, and
well, Raquel, I was thinking, because towards the beginning, it's just I know you have a lot of great information to share. So what we can even do is, I do want to let folks go just because they probably have commitments, starting now for when this is over. But what I thought we could do potentially is have you come back on the program, either in a live format like this, or we could even do a recording and have it on our website. Because I think, again, all the information that you've shared so far has been really helpful. And I think what you will share, or what you had to share after this, I think would be really good too. So if you're okay with that, I think this would be a good place to stop, especially just walking through people how to get on TAO. I think is really helpful to know that they have that resource even as staff. So I did want to try to end us out now, but Raquel, thank you so much for coming. We really appreciate all the information that you shared with us. We're getting some comments in the chat saying this has been excellent. So we're really grateful to have you. We hope to have you back. I'll talk with you after this and we can figure that out and get the word out to people. I was wondering if you could, would you mind putting your email in the chat, just if in case people had questions, they could email you? Would that be okay?
I'm not sure I have access to the chat, do I? I'm not looking at it.
Oh, okay. Well, people were saying
I've got it now.
Cool. Yes, they would like a second part to the recording.
You wanted me to put what in the chat?
Yeah, just put your email in there, just if that's all right with you. So just in case people had questions, they could get in touch with you. That would be wonderful. We're getting a lot of great feedback. So we'll do a part 2. This has been good. 30 minutes goes by really quickly.
That's my address. And then if you wanted to go in and sign up for TAO, go to our website. And actually there's a link where you can actually go in and join as just with the Clemson EDU account as a self-help. Go for the self-help as opposed to the therapist assisted. Go for the self-help and you'll be able to access this particular one. The last video, it's loaded with good information. Plus it has a lot of the videos for relaxation and mindfulness. So that would be really good, and you can do that on your own.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you so much, Raquel. I really appreciate you coming.
Welcome, and I apologize about the technical difficulties at first. My computer has been acting up in
that's
a different way today, all day.
I dropped out halfway through because my internet was gone, so no worries. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for coming. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.